He's getting older.
Champagne room.
Oh, hit the volume button.
But not wiser.
Everybody has affinity for cock.
This is the Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Lefty Show, number 15. Oh, man. Already to number 15. 15-episode catalog of the Lefty Show already. It seems like just yesterday that this whole thing started. Anyway, welcome one and all to the Lefty Show. I thank you all for joining me. Glad to be here. Glad to have your attention for the next hour or thereabouts. And I hope to be entertaining and perhaps a little bit informative. Maybe you'll get a few yucks here and there. Thank you to everybody that's been watching the show, liking, favoriting on YouTube. You're helping the show grow, and I do greatly appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing with your friends, your families, your coworkers, helping the podcast grow. I do appreciate it, just like liking and favoriting on YouTube. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. Everybody that's been helping out via imraising.com. That's right, imraising.com/643 Productions. If you want to help out the Lefty Show, if you want to help out me in general with a generous donation, I would be greatly appreciative. Thank you very much to everybody that's been doing so. And if you want to join in, you can go to imraising.com/643 Productions. There is a link in the description. Go ahead and click on that. You'll be taken right to where you need to go to donate. Thank you to everybody again that's been doing that. Today is Saturday, the 17th of May, and oh boy, do we have an action-packed show for you here today, or tonight, or something, whenever you watch this, whenever I actually upload it, because here's the thing. On Saturdays, Painkiller already is uploaded. And while I don't know specifically when it's going to go live, I know it's going to go live on Saturday, but I don't know when Woody is going to start uploading it, and I don't know how long the upload is going to take, nor do I know how long the processing is going to take. And I've said it before that it's, you know, to be like, well, you should know when it's going up, and that's a reasonable request. No, it's not. There's so many variables. How am I going to solve for all of them? That's just that's silly. But I do know that it's going to go up today, unless there's some just catastrophic failure. And the Lefty Show is a daily thing. Pretty much. Thereabouts daily, right? And I don't want to go head-to-head with Painkiller already. I really don't, because it's happened before, and it's bad, and it hurts on the inside, and everything is just, it's bad, and when it happens, and that's totally fine. I mean, you know, Painkiller already, a once-a-week home run hitting podcast that's 4 hours long, and this one is 4 hours long today, is, you know, yeah, go watch it. I'm glad that everybody watches it. I'm not crying in my beer over it, and I'm saying, you bastards, how dare you not watch Lefty Show. But what I'm more saying is that as a YouTuber, even though you know there's a damn good reason that people maybe aren't watching your video right out of the box because they're watching something else and you're going head-to-head with something that has a much larger following, a much more established following than you. And by the way, you idiot, you're on it. But even though you know that that's going to happen, it still kind of sucks. And that happens with a lot of things in life where you know something is going to happen. There's not really much you can do about it. You can try to prepare for it as best you can, but even though you know this thing is coming, even though you know that there's going to be this outcome, it still sucks when it happens. It doesn't matter that you've known. It doesn't matter that you've been preparing. It sucks that it still happens. All the inevitabilities of life. Death and taxes. Everybody knows those two things are going to happen, but it doesn't change the fact that when they show up every single year or at one point, it really sucks. And it's like, damn it. You know, I wish I didn't have to deal with this. Or the ending of a personal relationship, or the ending of a job. If you have a job that you know is just a stepping stone, or you know, or you can see that the company or your position is being outsourced and phased out, you know that there's going to come a day where you go into work and there's a pink slip on your desk, or you're getting called into the big meeting room and it's just going to happen, and you know it's going to happen, and you've been preparing for it. You've sent out resumes to other places, but it's still, that day still sucks. You're prepared, being prepared and knowing it's coming does little to buffer or does little to stifle the feeling where you just go, man, that really sucks. And I'm going to try to time the upload of today's Lefty Show. In that vein, I'm going to try to time the upload of today's Lefty Show. I'll play it by ear. Usually, let's see, it's already 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Usually around this time, PKA goes live. And if that's the case, it's good. I can schedule for a few hours later, perhaps in the evening, and then it'll be easier to grab a few people coming off of watching Painkiller already. But again, even though I know it's coming, it just kind of blows. It just kind of blows. But anyway, I've got all week to grab viewers and for people to come over and watch, more descriptive, or better put, listen to what I have to say. And PK is once a week. It's a good show this week. I hope you guys enjoy. We're going to try something different, a little bit different today. Just a little bit different. What we're going to try to do is we're going to go off with Would You Rather. We're going to start the show off with that. Usually it's more of a filler at the end to get into a would you rather for just a quick, little hearty har. But I thought I don't think it was getting enough play at the end of the show. So we're going to try to kick off the show with some Would You Rather, and then let that foster some sort of discussion, or at least one-way rant. I hear that. The Lefty Show just turned into Lefty ranting about things. It's a one-man show, motherfuckers. What do you want? Do you want me to have a conversation with somebody that does not exist? Hello there. Eugene Irvin here on the microphone. Hey, Eugene, how's it going? Oh, it's going good. It's crazy in the world today. There's a lot of things that are going on that are they're just kind of bad. Oh, yeah? Like what? What's going on, Eugene? You all right? Is everything okay? Everything's all right. It's just, once in a while, I got a little bit of sciatica, and getting to the John isn't as easy as it used to. Whoa, Eugene. Look, man, I get this is a podcast on the internet, but I don't think... What? Huh? It's a podcast on the... A what? A podcast. A pod? No. A pod? Pod? Cast. A podcast. A pod, huh? No. Eugene, here. It's like a radio show. Oh, I know one of those. You used to listen to it all the time back in the day during, the Great Depression. That's all you had. If you had a radio, oh dear, you were the toast of the town. You were the toast of the Hooverville. I tell you what. Yeah, it's like that, but it's on the internet. The what? The internet. What is that? It's. Do you know what a computer is? Huh? No. Okay. Imagine a bunch of people on a phone call. Oh, the telephone, the telecommunication. I get that. I know what that is. Why didn't you just say so? Well, it's not the exact same thing. It's just similar. Okay. Now, imagine that instead of you calling one person or one person calling you, that when you picked up a telephone, you were connected to everybody else that had a telephone, and it was one gigantic call over which people could freely exchange information to a whole bunch of other people. There would be, I think there's phone services that are like that, except it's not necessarily information that they're going to be exchanging with one another. They talk about the giggity and the all over your face stuff. Yeah, it's like that. It's like a sex party line. I don't know what you're talking. I never would have called one of those things places. I just heard about it on the internet. The internet? Yeah, the internet. You're explaining it to me. No, but you know what the internet is then. I've heard of it. It's a good place for the porn. So you've called sex hotlines and you use the internet for porn. You know what it is. Just leave me alone. I'm an old man. Technology confuses me and scares me, and I just don't want to talk to young people about it. Eugene, okay, so now you know what the internet is. And you've obviously used it for porn. Huh? No, you've used it for... Everybody uses the internet for porn, okay? Eugene, just accept it, okay? So anyway, now that you clearly have an understanding of what the internet is, how it works for the podcast is that we record this show. We're recording? Yeah, you're in the studio talking into a microphone. What do you think we're doing? I clean the floors. I don't know what's going on. You started talking to me. Anyway, we recorded and then we put it on the internet. Like porn? No, not like porn. Not as many people watch as they do your average porn video. I tell you, the average porn video that I get to, oh my goodness, you get the lady and she's with a boyfriend, and then here comes like a plumber, and he's got to fix the pipes. But oh man, that's not the pipes you were thinking about when he originally came in. Yeah, I get it, right? Yeah, I've got this pipe in my pants. Whoa, what are you talking about? He's got the elbow joints. He's got the Drano, and he's laying the pipe in the bathroom, and then the Drano goes all over her face. What, he pours Drano on her face? No, I'm talking about semen, you clunk. Get out of here. This is my show, Eugene. Get the hell out of the damn studio. Get out. You're done. You're done, Eugene. What the hell are you doing? Leave me alone. Oh, man, I'm an old man. God, get out of here. Don't come back. You bastard. Fuck you, Eugene. Fuck you. All right, I'm sorry about that. So anyway, like I was saying, this is a one-man show. One of you guys, he's ranting about things. Yeah, who am I going to have a discussion with? Obviously not Eugene. We saw how that went. So like I was saying, I'm going to start off the show with a little bit of Would You Rather. Excuse me. And see if that gets a little discussion going. And then we'll jump into some news, as is our wont, and then we'll wrap up the show. See how that format works out. And also, one thing I'm going to try to do, I tried it on PKA, but about midway during the show, I'm on the kick drum setting on my new Electro Voice RE320, and I'm not going to do anything to change the EQ on my board. But what I'm going to do is change to what is known as the flat setting on the Electro Voice RE320 about halfway through the show. And you guys can listen to it. You guys will know when I'll change. I'll say it. It's not like a guessing game. But I'll do it, and you guys can listen to it and give your input on what you think sounds nicer. Because in my headphones, I personally enjoy the kick drum sound better. But that doesn't mean that I'm completely closed off from listening to something else and how my voice sounds in it and saying, oh man, maybe that doesn't sound too bad. So anyway, let's get right into a Would You Rather. I need a jingle. I need a bumper for Would You Rather. Some kind of just a little thing, just a 15 seconds or something. Anyway, this is from yourather.com. Would you rather be attractive but get punched in the face every morning, or be ugly? Now, I'm assuming sexually attractive, and getting punched in the face every morning. As a person who has been punched in the face, it's not as glamorous as movies perhaps make it sound. It's just not. In the movies and in television, excuse me while I take a sip of coffee. Perhaps that's why I cough so much, is it loosens up mucus, and then my larger than average tonsils get blah, 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 and then I hack and cough. And I like coffee. It tastes amazing. Anyway, TV and movies glamorize getting punched in the face, but it's not really as cool as it seems. Sometimes it hurt, like there's an initial hurt, but the biggest thing for me after being punched in the face is having the bell rung, the shell shock, your brain's jumping around inside your skull, and you feel foggy. Initially, after being punched in the face, the initial bone-on-bone contact does cause pain, and it will bruise later and cause pain, certainly an hour or so after being punched. But in the immediate aftermath, right after the initial shock, there is like fuck. But the biggest thing for me is just the fogginess. It's like a hangover. If you ever wake up from a hangover and you're dealing with a hangover throughout the day, and you just have a sense of fogginess, you just feel kind of foggy. That's what it felt like, at least for me, when I was punched in the face. There was the shock, and then I was just kind of, whoa, okay. And I was forced to autopilot it for a bit, or every time that I have been punched in the face. And it's not fun. And I don't know if I would trade that for attractiveness. Because when we're talking about attractiveness, we're talking about sexual attractiveness. And Donald Sterling is getting daily blowjobs on the daily from V. Stiviano, who some people, I guess, think is a model of some kind for Thai ladyboys. But he's getting blowjobs on the daily from what other people consider to be a model, and he's an 83-year-old man who is not very sexually attractive at all. Something's wrong here. If you operate under the idea that sexual attractiveness is what gets you laid, or is what gets you a woman, then, or a man, or whatever. If that's what you think, then how do you explain Donald Sterling getting BJs? How do you explain any number of rich guys just hanging out with models all day? There's something else going on that isn't sexually attractive. So you don't necessarily have to be sexually attractive in order to reap the rewards of being sexually attractive, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, being sexually attractive makes it, I guess, easier to get a blowjob from V. Stiviano. Not that you would want it, but while it makes it easier, so does being ugly and rich. Your attractiveness kind of goes out the window as your wallet size increases. They're inversely related. You don't have to be as sexually attractive, necessary or required sexual attractiveness, and at that point, well, then yeah, I'd probably rather be ugly, because I can still make a little money or be smart or funny and reap the rewards of what, quote, objectively sexually attractive people get. Because getting punched in the face on the daily wouldn't be fun. Plus, you got to worry about chronic traumatic encephalopathy, man. If you're getting punched in the face on every single day that you wake up, you're a hot guy, you wake up and it's just poof, right in the face, like morning motherfucker, poof, and that's it. And then you go away, and then you're free to enjoy the rest of your day. Well, that's brain trauma every single day. Every single day, your brain is experiencing some kind of trauma, and that's going to add up. You know, you're not to the level of an NFL offensive or defensive lineman. Certainly not that. But every single day there's brain trauma. Just a little bit. But it's chronic. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And eventually there's going to be encephalopathy and the tau proteins and however all that crazy stuff happens. And then you're way more at risk for early onset dementia, Alzheimer's disease, all these kinds of things, just for being attractive for a couple of years. You can get laid and paid in the shade with 4 or 5 Escalades. Back then, hoes didn't want me. Now I'm hot hoes all on me. You can get that with that. Mike Jones did a song about this. Who? Mike Jones. Mike Jones did a song about all this. And it didn't have to do with him being sexually attractive. That was kind of his whole deal. Never mind the fact that Mike Jones is kind of out of rap now. And the rap that he did have was... it was, shall we say, bad. Bad. If you can chopped and screw, bad. That's kind of what Mike Jones was. But, you know, as a novelty act, not too bad. So I got to say be ugly. I'd rather be ugly because I can get the benefits of being attractive without the chronic brain trauma every single day. And somebody in the comments of this 4 years ago apparently said it's the same concept as working out to stay beautiful. That's not the case. I mean, working out does degrade your muscles, but your muscles rebuild themselves. Your brain does not recover from chronic trauma all the damn time. We're just now scratching the surface of treatment. Right now, you can just manage it if you've got brain issues. You're just managing it. However, you know, in the future, it may be I reserve the right to change my answer if we find a way to effectively treat, not just manage, chronic traumatic encephalopathy and the problems from chronic brain trauma. So I'm gonna say be ugly. Let's see. We're cycling through here. Just there's a lot of these things that just aren't. I mean, they're would you rather's, but there's no real meat on the bones. Here's a good one. Would you rather have a house made of sprawling underground rooms and tunnels or have a small flying house? It's got to be that you have the bond layer house. You've got to have a house made of sprawling underground rooms and tunnels that's so cool. You're protected from the elements, harsh weather. You don't have to worry about paint. You don't have to worry about managing your lawn. You don't have to worry about any of that bullshit. But if you have a small flying house, your house is up in the elements, up in the weather patterns, and it's just kind of floating there. You're going to have all sorts of wind buffeting and Jimmy buffeting, and you're going to have to deal with turbulence of all kind. If you're underground, you're a Bond villain. I mean, you are that much closer to being a Bond villain. You've got it made if you say, no, man, I'm just going to have this house that's made of underground tunnels and shit. All you need now are henchmen, and you're good. You're a Bond villain. But you've got a small flying house. What are you? Okay, hi, this is my house. I'm flying. How do you get to work from a flying house? How do you get to work? Do you parachute every day? How do you get back? If you have an underground house, you just go up the stairs. Go up the stairs, open the hatch, whatever. And then if there's impending nuclear war or asteroidal impact becomes an issue, well, then you're all set. You're all set for all kinds of disasters with an underground house. But having a small flying house, you're opening yourself up for other disasters. Now a gust of wind's got you. Now if there's a tornado, a hurricane, a typhoon, anything is going to mess you up. If there's a gamma burst, if there's a solar flare, good luck. I'll be cool underground in my house. That I don't have to paint, I don't have to manicure the lawn, I don't have to do any of that. But you're in a small flying house, you got to deal with all of it. Gots to be. I gots to know. Gotta be a small flying house. See if we can find. Here's a good one. It's the next one. Would you rather be famous in this lifetime or go down in the history books? I would say it depends on what the goal is. If you have any number of personal goals can change your response to this question, or it could change my response. Because if my goal is are riches, then be famous in this lifetime. It's simple. Going down in the history books, while noble, and I can probably reach many more people as my voice echoes through history than I can with a large platform now as a famous person. But if my goal is to be rich, my goal is to be known, then I've got to say be famous in this lifetime, because my consciousness isn't going to exist when I'm known as a historical figure. There's no gratification there. I guess if the goal is gratification, then be famous in this lifetime. If your goal is money, to be known, if you want people to love you, to adore you, to shower you with compliments, then be famous in this lifetime. But if the goal, if I think that I've got some valuable things to say, and I'd like to think that I do. Of course I think I do. I'm done bullshitting. Yeah, I got some nice things to say to some people that maybe they should hear. I'll be a historical figure. I'll be taught throughout classroom, unless I come down on the wrong side of history. If I come down on the side of history that we don't like to talk about that. If I am the Japanese internment camps of history, then there's no point to being a historical figure. Then I could do more with my voice as a famous person in one lifetime than I could as a historical figure that's just on the wrong side of history. Oh yeah, Japanese internment camps. That's a thing that is not covered nearly enough in U.S. history classes. I mean, if you actually get into the study of history, I'm sure you cover the shit out of it, and you learn all types of cool stuff. But children in America, moldable minds for molding in America aren't really subjected to much of the whole, yes, we kind of just arbitrarily stripped the rights of good standing citizens in America for a period of years and stuck them in internment camps. We stuck them in concentration camps. Fuck internment camps. No, we had concentration camps in America in the 40s. We did. But we don't like to talk about it a lot. If I become that in the history books, then what's the point? Then I would best hope to become famous in one lifetime and use my stature and turn it into a bully pulpit so that I can just scream obscenities at people, but also try to further humanity by saying, look, you idiots, here's what I think about this, and hope that somebody writes it down and I enter the history books that way. So, going down in history books isn't guaranteed to come up roses for you, because there's countless instances of history, of historical acts and historical people who just get washed away because their messages don't really line up with the overall intent of the teaching of history, or the remembering of history, or the study of history. That's another question I have. I haven't studied education. I have education, but I haven't studied the art, let's say, of education, or the I'm going to say the theory of education. Educational theory, let's call it. Because my question is, for those of you out there that have knowledge in this area, or if you know somebody that has knowledge, tweet me. You can follow me at Lefty643, or put it in the comments of this video. Maybe shy away from the comments, because YouTube comments are just a cesspool. There's a lot of stupid going on in the YouTube comments. So probably the best thing is to tweet me. But what's the point? I get the teaching of mounting mathematics. You know, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then eventually you get to, you teach fractions and decimals, then you get to algebra, and then and the whole point of that, at least as I understand it, is to teach children not that there is one logical approach, but a logical approach to problem solving. Algebra, everybody's right. You're not going to really use algebra in your everyday life actively, like solve for X or solve for Y. You're not going to use geometry. What is the proof that angle theta is equal to angle gamma in this blah, 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 and give me the proof. You're not going to use derivatives or integrals or double integrals or triple integrals or antiderivatives or anything like that really actively in your daily life. But what it does is it teaches you a methodical approach to problem solving, at least as I understand it. But my question is, what is the point then of history? Is there some underlying goal to teaching people history? Not just those who forget history are doomed to repeat it, but is there something else being taught there? Is it subtle brainwashing? Is it... I don't know. I'm hard-pressed to think of some underlying... like with math, you're teaching... Obviously, the mathematical skills, you do use mathematical skills regularly. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. But algebraic problem solving is a way to teach people how to problem solve. Isolate variables, et cetera, and the idea of variables and things like that. And it's just the methodology used to solve algebraic equations is the real thing being taught. What is that for history? Because history, like I've said, it can be very one-sided. It's the war of northern aggression south of the Mason-Dixon line. In America, south of the Mason-Dixon line, the Civil War is taught as the war of northern aggression, which to history buffs may or may not be the case. States' rights, all that stuff. And the North was kind of jagoffs to people that had constitutional protection for their businesses and blah, 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 blah. But the fact that history can be one-sided, and we're teaching in America, and I'm sure this is true throughout the world, you're teaching one-sided history. We gloss over Japanese concentration camps in America, and I want to know why. You know, America the Beautiful, America the Brave, you know, Christopher Columbus was an American hero, and the last ride of Paul, or the night ride of Paul Revere, and all these things. It's history class in America is, generally speaking, in higher levels of education, it's not. That's shed, and it's about the actual history. But, you know, in the formative years, let's say, history class in America is a giant hagiography. Anyway, it's a gigantic hagiography of America. America is so great. America is so great. And the only thing I can think of is this is brainwashing. This is subtle brainwashing to America, 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 nationalism, devotion to your country. And if that's the case, okay, but I just want it out in the open. You say, yeah, we're going to brainwash our kids because we're paying for their damn education, so they're going to have a little loyalty to us. Just put it out in the open, okay, but other than that, I don't see any real purpose to teaching a one-sided, biased view of history, American history, that is, or shit, even world history, biased history, instead of, here's how to balance a checkbook. Here is what... Now, I was lucky because my father, an attorney, taught me about all these things when I was growing up. I always said that you've never gone to law school. Actually, for 18 years of my life was a law school. I've taken the LSAT before because my eccentric father, who is an eccentric, was not shy about exposing me to law and legal theory and all these things, and kind of cultivated that in me outside of the classroom. And so when I was growing up, when I was in grade school, I knew what a negotiable instrument was. I knew what a check and a checking account was and how they worked. And I knew about the little booklet in a checkbook and why it was important to have those records. And I knew why, endorsing and I knew pay to the order of and for deposit only and all this stuff. And I knew how that all worked. But I only learned those skills. I was only actively or formally taught those skills in high school in a gifted class. In some advanced placement gifted class was I taught about buying a car, tips for buying a car, tips for buying a house, investing, net worth, and checkbook and balancing a checkbook and all these things. Only then was I formally taught that. And so why are we teaching a biased view of history instead of, here are tools for your life? Here are some basic tools that you will learn in society. in My Cousin Vinny, there's a great scene where Vinny is trying to explain to his girlfriend why he's having a rough time in court, why he's constantly being found in contempt of court. He said, because I was never taught how to act in a courtroom, because I went to law school. This is Vinny talking. He said, I went to law school, but they teach you contracts, interpretations, and then the firm that hires you, they teach you procedure. They're long on, there's no form to, I'm sure, going to actual law school, they teach you a little bit. But in terms of practically practicing law, there's little of that taught in law school. And in the formative years of education in America, I'm wondering, why is there no practical application taught of any of these things? Why do children in high school, why are they not taught? God, they're children to me, I feel old. Why are they not taught how to balance a checkbook? Why did I have to be in a gifted class to learn that? Maybe there's just a shitty high school, who knows? But it seems like those are some practical tools to be taught instead of America the Great, America the Beautiful, and we kicked their ass in WW2 after helping out in WW1 in the Great One, and all these things. Unless there's some underlying factor, I just don't see the point. And I'm putting it to you, people who obviously know better than I, to set me straight and to give me some insight as to why that is. Let's do a little news, shall we? Yeah, let's do it. Got a lot to talk about today as we get into the news with Lefty on the Lefty Show. The Dallas Buyers Club is now kind of a real thing, kind of sanctioned in the state of Colorado. There's a guy facing charges for defiling the American flag. Man gets life parole for sex with a girl 14 years of age, life in prison without parole, and a University of Arkansas student arrested for making false accusations of sexual assault. Let's get into the news. We're going to talk about all that today. Keep it right here. You've got the Lefty Show. The Dallas Buyers Club. Never seen the movie. Apparently, Matthew McConaughey won for Best Actor. Learned that. Won an Oscar for Best Actor. Learned that from Kyle last night on the Lefty Show. But this is from news.sky.com. It says Colorado has become the first U.S. state to allow terminally ill people to take experimental drugs, even those which are years away from getting federal approval. State's Governor John Hickenlooper signed the so-called Right to Try bill into law in Fort Collins. It was passed unanimously after emotional testimony from relatives who told harrowing stories about trying to get federal permission to access experimental medicine. When you're terminal and there's a drug out there that might help you, it can seem that the obstacles to get that drug are insurmountable, said Senator Irene Aguilar, who co-sponsored the controversial bill. She dubbed it the Dallas Buyers Club bill after the Hollywood film about an AIDS patient who smuggled medicine from Mexico because it was not cleared for use in the U.S. Similar right-to-try bills are to be signed in Louisiana and Missouri. So this is a bill, or this is a law now in Colorado, where terminally ill patients can, by some mechanism, I'm not sure what, get access to experimental drug programs that may or may not help them and cure them, and also act as a marketing device for the big pharmaceutical companies. So, I don't want to hear now. I want to hear a little bit less from big pharmaceutical apologists about how expensive and how the speculation and how dangerous it is to speculate on new drugs, because now the state of Colorado, possibly the states of Missouri and Louisiana, are going to subsidize your studies. They are saying our terminally ill citizens can now go and populate your studies on your brand new drug, and there's fewer hoops now to getting the drug or getting drug trials. We are giving you patients to try your drug out on. Go forth and have fun. Of course, yes, it's still expensive to do a lot of research, but it's not my fault that big pharmaceuticals hit and miss because they do bad science. It's not my fault. You know, when you got a cure for cancer, just because your other 100 last drugs failed for whatever reason and you spent way too much developing them, even though they failed, does not mean that you then get to charge $10,000 a pill because you were bad at developing your previous 100 pills. No. It doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. You owe a greater duty to society and all the people that have cancer to not gouge them out of 10 grand for every fucking pill or $1,000 a pill or whatever it is. But while it's interesting and while it's nice, you know, if you're terminally ill, well, fuck it, right? Common sense. I'm terminally ill. I'm going. Chemo isn't getting this. Chemo isn't going to stop this. Hormone treat or whatever all these treatments are. And then there's this crazy newfangled drug that might either extend my life or cure what ails me. But it's not federally approved. Well, I'm dead anyway. Who cares? And it's very nice to see that there is a common, you know, some common sense. Like, do it. Now I'm hoping that there's going to be a little. I don't know the mechanism, and I hope that the mechanism by which these pills get to these people. I want to say strictly controlled, but that might seem counterintuitive to the bill itself. Because they are strictly controlled, and that's kind of the whole idea of the bill itself. My point is, or what I'm trying to communicate is that I hope that there's some oversight somewhere in place that would help prevent just these things being dumped on everybody who may or may not have that kind of bargaining power. The "I'm dead anyway" is a bargaining chip. But if you've got stage 1 melanoma or something, and it's like, yeah, we can just go with a scalpel, get it, you'll live a happy, normal life. Well, you may not understand that. You hear cancer and you freak out. You give me the drug, give me this drug. What about chemo? No, fuck that. Give me this experimental thing. And I hope that there's the way by which people are quote determined to be terminal is objective, we'll say, is objective. Now, I do have an issue with something here. Something in this article. And it's the second graph. State's Governor John Hickenlooper, no, that's not my problem, signed the so-called Right to Try bill into law in Fort Collins. Quote, right to try. Now, that's not the name of it, I don't think. But it's the so-called, the media, in reference to all these things, it's right to try, the right to try bill. That's its colloquial name. And does everything have to be right to this, right to that? Right to try, right to get high, right to freedom, or right to, that's actually a big one, right to health care, right to free health care, right to all these things. It seems like we're going a little bit overboard with the right to this, right to that. Not everything is a right. I mean, I will champion as best I can individual liberties, rights. I will champion those rights of people. And your right to decide what to put into your body, your right to do what you want with your body, abortion or pro-life or whatever. If you want to choose to have the baby or you want to choose to abort it, it's your choice. It's your body. But while I am very skeptical and preach caution, extreme caution in limiting or otherwise stifling individual liberties of people, stifling rights, I also think we should be equally as cautious about labeling new things as rights, because the right to try or the ability to try a brand new drug that isn't cleared by the Federal Drug Administration for human trials is a common sense law, but it doesn't seem like a right. You don't have a right, an unalienable right to get your hands on those pills that may communicate on down the road or transmutate into I have a right to do this, and it doesn't make any sense. And all of a sudden, when you open the door to, yeah, you've got a right to try anything you want for your own health care, well, all of a sudden now 15 years later, there's somebody that's saying, well, I've got the right to try this, so I've got the right to harvest your organs. I'm not saying that's actually going to happen, but I've got the right to harvest your organs so that I can continue living. Well, wait, hold on a second. Maybe we shouldn't have 15 years from now, maybe they'll look back and say, shit, man, 15 years ago, we really should not have told everybody, or as a society decided we have a right to all these things. I got into it, or I see it a lot oddly enough, when we're talking about free market this, free market that. I took macro econ, and I'm just going to verbal diarrhea all over your face, econ. When talking about livable wage, minimum wage, all that stuff. And people, in the context, in the framework of economics, macroeconomics, whatever, in that framework, the equations and the equilibriums say that, yes, if a business has this kind of profit margin, well, then artificially raising the wages of workers via the minimum wage we'll put that business out of business unless they raise prices, unless they do all these things, and And the argument is because the businesses will have to do all these things to remain solvent, the minimum wage is an awful idea. That's just a bastardized version of it. But my argument, my counter is, well, these businesses don't have a right to be in business. Papa John, when talking about minimum wage, Papa John, who owns Papa John's, when talking about minimum wage and when talking about Obamacare and mandatory health care for full-time workers, said, well, I'm not going to be able to, that's going to kill my business. You're killing my business by doing this. That's the argument. When you raise the minimum wage, you are going to kill businesses. You're going to kill Walmart. You're going to kill Amazon. You're going to kill all these things. But my counter to that is, well, you don't have a right to a national business, Papa John. Maybe you should contract a little bit. Maybe if you're just a regional business, you'd have a little bit more money to spread around, and paying workers a livable wage and paying them health care wouldn't be such a big deal, because all of a sudden now people act as though, I'm not saying they say this, but they act as though everybody has a right to a solvent business. No, you don't. Your business can fail just because you have created a business that is profitable by paying workers an unlivable wage. Does not mean that you have now some unalienable right to continue in that business. Does not mean that you have some unalienable right to use your bargaining power, use your stature now as a profitable company to degrade workers and shame them into lower wages, or to call for the complete repealing of all oversight in terms of wages and employment and labor, and then let's just the free market decide between me, motherfucking McDonald's, and you, some guy who's just trying to eke out a living and scratch and claw and continue to live on $10-15 an hour. Yeah, because that's going to be some great negotiating there. Free market. We need to be careful, I think, about, just like we need to be careful about stifling rights, individual liberties, we also need to be careful about going around and saying, yeah, that's a right, you've got a right to this, you've got a right to that. And it's a tough question for me. Right to the internet. That's a tough one. The UN lists the internet, access to the internet, as a human right. And while my initial response, my knee-jerk response is to say, yeah, because the internet, net neutrality, and fuck you, Comcast and Time Warner and Verizon and AT&T, because this is the internet, man, And this is information, and you just can't just go controlling it willy-nilly. You know, you owe a duty to all these people. And while they do owe that duty, Comcast, Time Warner, AT&T, Verizon, whomever else, while they do owe that duty, you know, saying that everybody has a right to internet, I don't know. It's tough. It really is. I can't say one way or the other that, yeah, you got a right to the internet, because do people have a right to you know, in Illinois it's Commonwealth Edison. Do people have a right to power to their houses, to their places of living from Commonwealth Edison? Kinda, I guess. Do people have a right to telephone service from AT&T and Verizon? What was Ameritech? God, Ameritech back in the day. Do people have a right to that? I don't know. It's a tough thing, at least for me. Some people can easily say, yes, it's a right, but I think we need to be cautious about that, because then you get silly things like, and while it's just a colloquialism now, fret not, somebody will honestly make the argument, I have a right to get my hands on drug trials. And it's just, do you? Is that really a right, an unalienable right that we need to include and protect? I don't. It seems absurd, and perhaps we should be a little bit or perhaps a lot bit more cautious. In other news, this is from KFSM or 5newsonline.com, KFSM. A University of Arkansas student, here's the quote. An 18-year-old student was arrested Wednesday after police said she filed a false report that she was sexually assaulted on the University of Arkansas campus. Julia Garcia was arrested on suspicion of filing a false police report and released from the Washington County Detention Center without bond, according to the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Garcia's arraignment is scheduled for May 30th, according to the sheriff's police. The woman on Sunday reported to police that she was sexually assaulted in the Garland Avenue parking garage on campus. Officers immediately began searching for her alleged assailant, a 6-foot-tall man with a muscular build, according to the University of Arkansas Police Department. Garcia told police she was attacked from behind about 8:30 p.m. in the parking garage by a man wearing a black ski mask and a long-sleeved black T-shirt, according to a campus safety notification issued Monday. The suspect allegedly forced the woman against a rail between the first and second levels of the garage in the west stairwell, the notification states. Garcia also said the man was wearing dark blue jeans and brown work boots, police said. Garcia told officers she kicked her assailant and escaped, according to the notification. Garcia is listed as a freshman on the UA's online directory. She was also listed as a UA student on her Facebook profile. So, here we have, and, you know, it's tough because... Or one tough thing about this is that no article that I can find lists why Miss Garcia here why the police turned their attention to her and said, were you really sexually assaulted, and why she was arrested. I'm operating under the assumption right now, although it is completely open to change, that there was a good reason for her arrest on suspicion of making false rape accusations. It is entirely possible that this 6-foot-tall muscular build was somebody who may or may not play a money-generating sport for the University of Arkansas. And, okay, you know what I'm getting at here. That is possible. However unlikely, possible. And without a concrete, this is why they turned on the supposed victim, and instead arrested her for making a false rape accusation. I'm assuming that there was merit for the arrest, although it is possible, not plausible, but possible, that there was no real reason for the arrest. You know, because there was attempted sexual assault. I kicked and ran away, and the police officer, well, we can't find the guy. You must have been lying. Arrested. That would be fucked up. But it's good to see. Now, as some of you, well, how do you know? How do you know? Again, assuming that there's merit for the arrest, it's good to see that somebody who would even think again, operating under the complete assumption that this arrest was with merit. It's good to see that somebody, at least a police force somewhere, will, rape culture. I hate the notion of rape culture. I don't even know what rape culture is, so I guess that's kind of dumb on my part. But to me, rape culture is a fill-all. It's just a catch-all, fill-in, filler for complete and unwavering support for any female who alleges rape against a male. That, to me, is what rape culture is used to get. What rape culture and accusing men, society, accusing a website, a show, a book of perpetuating rape culture is a way is a tool to be used to shame somebody into giving unwavering support for any woman that says, I may have been sexually assaulted. And that's wrong. Because here's the deal. Sexual assault and rape are, well, obviously crimes, but they are heinous crimes. Heinous crimes. And this is not a she was asking for it or anything like that argument. Those are crimes, and those are heinous crimes, and they should be treated carefully, certainly. And lobbying and wanting for those to be treated carefully and treated with respect is certainly noble. However, we need to understand that running around and arresting somebody, let's assume that Julia Garcia here made this accusation and they found a guy that fit the description. Let's assume it's a false accusation, but they found a guy, 6 foot, muscular build, black long t-shirt and blue jeans, or a black t-shirt and blue jeans, fit the description, and they arrested him on rape charges because of this false accusation. That man's life, they arrested him, they booked him, fingerprinted him, and put his name on all over the internet, all over the news, arrested for rape. Not allegedly raped. It was alleged. This man arrested for rape, and that will never, ever, 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 ever go away. Ever. It's a false accusation. He gets off. He's acquitted of charges. Hopefully acquitted of charges. I shudder to think that somewhere in America there is a man doing prison time simply because a woman said he was raped. Not because he actually committed the rape, but because a woman said he raped me. I shudder to think that, though it's probably true. And if in this little thought experiment, Julia Garcia made the false accusation. The police found the man fitting the description and arrested him on her word alone. Remember, we have the benefit of the meta-sense, and we know it's a false accusation. We know it never happened. The police don't. The police arrest them, and they go about their normal operating procedure for arresting, booking, and charging somebody with the heinous crime of sexual assault/rape. That man's life is fucked. It is well and truly fucked because he's in college, he's a college student, he gets out, let's assume he graduates, he somehow stays a student at the University of Arkansas. Every single job application he files after graduating, after getting his degree, every single job application he files, there will be a background check run, a criminal background check, and guess what they're going to find? No matter what. They'll say acquitted of rape charges, but for all eternity, his name will have arrested on such and such a date for rape. And he's fucked. All because little Miss Julia Garcia over here, for whatever reason, wanted to claim rape against somebody. Whether because she had consensual sex and then thought whatever the thing is, you had consensual sex and then thought against it and said, oh, well, I'm going to cry rape, or I'm going to do this. My point is this, that, again, it's certainly noble to say, rape is a bad thing, and, we can't just shame the victim and say, fuck you, prove it. And I understand that. However, it seems to me that we've erred too far to that one side, because what we are completely forgetting now, willy-nilly, and people gleefully forget, is that when somebody says rape and you go and arrest somebody on that word alone, however noble your intent, there is a chance that you are fucking somebody for the rest of their life. Wrongly fucking somebody for the rest of their life. And if but one person has their life ruined because of a false rape charge, then the whole institution of protect the victim, arrest the alleged assailant, and let the court sort it out is flawed and needs to be rethought. Because Julia Garcia was not the victim here. Julia Garcia was looking for a victim. Julia Garcia was looking to make a victim of somebody else. And she was going to use the benefit of the doubt afforded to every single female or male or anybody, but it's mostly females. That's not fucking bullshit. To every female who ever would cry rape, she was going to use that as a shield and as a tool to ruin somebody's life. The whole institution of that is flawed and needs to be rethought. Again, very noble. I'm not saying rape is good. I'm not saying rape is okay. I'm not saying the victims ask for it. I'm saying that we can't go around ruining other people's lives just so we can maybe protect the life and dignity of a victim. No, you just can't do that. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. When you start ruining lives to forestall the ruining of somebody else's life, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and nothing changes. When you arrest and charge with rape indiscriminately, you're ruining lives, and that's just not okay. And what's more, here's the deal. Julia Garcia was arrested on suspicion of filing a false police report and released from the Washington County Detention Center without bond. Here's the big deal about that. Julia Garcia was out to fuck somebody, out to ruin somebody's fucking life that night, and she was released on her own recognizance. Did not have to post bail, did not have to go to a bail bondsman or anything like that. The judge said, yes, the police are going to make a case, and the prosecution is going to make a case that you tried to ruin somebody's life by falsely accusing them of rape, but there's going to be nothing holding you to this court other than your recognizance, other than your whatever ethical duty you believe you have, other than your own ability to think, yeah, I should probably show up to this court case. No bond, no nothing. Now, think again. If Julia Garcia actually found a victim for her fucking of somebody's life, if there was some 6-foot muscular build guy with a black t-shirt and blue jeans and brown shoes whom she said, him, and again, the benefit of the meta sense, we know it's a false case, would that guy be released on his own recognizance? I believe that's what it's called, released on your own recognizance. When you can after being arrested with it, you're still charged with a crime, you still have to show up and appear for your arraignment, blah, 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 but you don't have to post bail. You don't have to buy a bond. You can just they let you go, and you are the bond. They say if you don't show up, we're going to come and get you. But you don't have to post money as ransom for you returning to your court date. I believe that's called released on your own recognizance. With the 6-foot muscular build guy, based on the false accusation of this bitch, and she's a bitch, not alleged shit, because you guys wouldn't use alleged if she would have found a victim. Alleged wouldn't have been, there wouldn't have been alleged this, alleged that. No, fuck that. It would have been this guy raped this Julia Garcia. So this cunt was like, if she found a victim for her false accusation charge, would he be released on his own recognizance? Or would he have to post, I don't know, what would the bail be? What would the bond be? $100,000 bond, he'd have to post $10,000 in bail, probably, for a rape charge, for a sexual assault or attempted sexual assault. I don't know, $50,000 maybe. Have to post $5,000 bail, call his parents. He posts $5,000 bail because this bitch made a completely false accusation of rape against me. Do you have 5 G's, mom and dad, laying around that you can put up as ransom so that I can go back and still have to hire a lawyer and try to defend myself from these bullshit charges? The whole institution is fucked. We've allowed the appeals of emotion, as noble as they may have been in intent originally, we've allowed a small group of people the power is completely within the hands of a woman. If she wants to fuck you for the rest of your life, all she has to say is he raped me. That's all she has to say. That's all your girlfriend, that's all your wife, that's all some broad you met at a bar has to say to fuck you for the rest of your life. System is flawed, and it needs to be rethought. And to wrap up the news, a man is facing charges for for defiling a flag. For hanging a flag upside down on the front of his house and spray painting on it. He spray painted the word AIM on it. And this man was arrested in Blair County, Pennsylvania for desecrating the American flag. In the report, a servicewoman drove by, saw it, went to the police, cried about it because I fought so hard to protect it. And now this guy got arrested for hanging an American flag upside down and painting on it. The flag was seized and taken as evidence by the police officer. Here it is. A Blair County man said he was standing up for his American Indian heritage and expressing his beliefs when he hung an American flag upside down and spray painted it earlier this week. But police said what he did was inexcusable. Quote, I was offended by it when I first saw it. I had an individual stop here at the station, a female who was in the military, and she was very offended by it, said Allegheny Township Police Assistant Chief L.J. Berg. Berg said he took the flag down and charged Joshua Brubaker with desecration and insults to the American flag. How the fuck do you even charge somebody? You insulted the American flag, dangnabbit. How is that a charge of any kind? Anyway, I removed it from the building, folded it properly, and I folded it properly. He did the fucking triangle thing. This douchebag, another assistant chief fucking douchebag, improperly and seized it as evidence, said Berg. Brubaker defended his actions and said he never meant to upset or offend anyone. He said he and his wife were of American Indian heritage and are passionate about American Indian movement, specifically in the Midwest. And, you know, I know this is going to get thrown out, right? It's going to get thrown out. A judge is going to see this and, oh, God, I hope. I can't even say that with certainty anymore, that a judge will see this and see that it's fucking ridiculous and say, get out of here with that. I can't even say that anymore. But I hope that. However, just because this case will be thrown out and all this stuff, the guy was still arrested. Again, arrest record, blah, blah, blah. This guy was arrested and had his property seized because he hung a flag upside down and spray painted it. And the police officer who went and arrested this man for committing a bullshit crime, which is not a crime. There is no crime for doing this. This is not a crime. The Supreme Court has ruled on this countless times. The officer who went and arrested this man and seized his property will probably be back on the street. Nothing. Paid administrative leave. Nothing. No firing. No. You're putting up your pension when this guy sues the department because you're a dumbass. LJ. Yeah, no, it's Pennsylvania, but it's like oh my God, it's like Deliverance in some parts of Pennsylvania. Pretty much Happy Valley. Deliverance in Pennsylvania. And this guy had his whole world turned upside down. Now, I want to take a minute and just sit right there, and I'll tell you how this guy became the prince of a town called Butler. But this guy didn't do anything wrong. This guy was acting completely within his rights. And not only, and it wasn't even one of those dubious things like standing on a public way and recording a police officer, you know, like, because if you do get in a police officer's way and you do obstruct justice or obstruct an investigation, that is a crime. But hanging an American flag upside down and spray painting on it, desecrating an American flag, is not a crime. Hasn't been for 50 years. But this officer completely made up a charge and arrested this man and completely turned his life upside down and seized his property. So what? It was a $4.99 American flag. Does not matter. This man's property was seized erroneously on a completely made, not trumped up, like I'm going to charge you with resisting arrest or I'm going to charge you with public intoxication or public indecency, blah, blah, blah. No, a completely made up as in does not exist. And he's going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen because oh, well, it's just a you know, for a day the guy was arrested and in jail and he had his property seized. It wasn't really that big of a deal. And this officer is going to be out walking the streets again. And whoever this other broad was, who thought, this man hung a flag upside down. I am so offended. I'm going to the police. What? I mean, think about this, okay? Whatever your hot button issue is, whatever you listening to this right now, whatever really gets you going, whatever somebody says that could really piss you off. If there's female listening, I said cunt earlier. Cunt, I'm going to say it again. Cunt is a word that upsets a lot of people. It cuts right through all the bullshit down to the bone. It is a definite escalation of just a definite escalation of hostilities, okay? Like, it's like, you know, we're tickling each other and then you punch me in the face as like, ha, 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 yeah, I'm winning. Well, bam, now I'm winning, right? It's an escalation on that order, probably a little bit worse. If somebody sprayed that on a placard and put it up on their property, on their home, would you go to the police? You know, if you're a neighbor and it's offensive and a neighbor's being offensive, do you go to the police first or do you knock on the door and say, hey, dude, man, look, not cool, bro. What you're doing here, I get it. It's not cool. Could you please take it down? Whatever, and it's not just, you know, the word cunt in women, but whatever offends you, whatever personally offends you, whatever cuts you to the bone, if somebody spray painted that on a placard and put it up on their home, would you go to the police? I am hoping that many of you say no. I hope to spaghetti god or spaghetti monster in heaven that many of you will say no. But there's apparently somebody with a military service record who is so offended by an upside down flag with spray paint on it that they go to the police and ask the police to take action. That's messed up. That's a problem when your default reaction is call the police to deal with this issue. Call the police because there was a fight in school. This kid hit my kid. I'm calling the police. The police are involved in way too much these days. Way too much. And it's evidenced when some guy gets arrested because some broad was pissed off because she saw an American flag sitting upside down. This guy got arrested for that. You proud to be an American? Are you going to stand up? You going to stand up for the next, Pledge of Allegiance? Are you going to stand up for the next time you go to a sporting event and they play the national anthem? Are you standing up? I'm not. Let's bring it home. Woohoo! The Lefty Show. Ladies and gentlemen, been another great episode. I hope you all enjoyed. I certainly enjoyed putting on the show for you. Be sure to hit that like button if you guys did enjoy it. It does help me out. Greatly appreciate it. Commenting as well. Also, if you thank you to everybody that's been sharing and will share this episode and this podcast with your friends, your families, your coworkers, all that stuff. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all very much. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. I'mRacing.com/643productions if you want to help out with a generous donation. I greatly appreciate it. Help out the cost of the show. I'mRacing.com/643productions. Link in the description. Check out PKA today if you're coming for PKA. Thank you all for watching me there. That's my time, guys. I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'm out. Bye. Everybody has affinity for cock.